My idea of the return of Club Eden had about 5 brown men standing on a well-lit stage with blue lights, white boots, cowboy hats, and a diamond-studded silk vest. That's what I envisioned, but instead, we picked up on the show where it left off last season with Amp and Midnight carrying the patron out the back door to the dumpster in an old, nasty, beat-up floor rug. And we're going to get to them in a minute, but first, let me tell you that the premiere episode was very short. It was about, 30 minutes, and it appeared to be cut off right at the very end, right in the middle of Madam talking to Casanova. But nonetheless, it was still relatable. I enjoyed it, and it was as if we never took a break at all. Maybe because I just watched the end of season 2 like a couple of days ago. So maybe that's why there's no break for me. But Detective Davis, let's start with this trick. Detective Davis has nothing on Madam except circumstantial evidence. So she couldn't really legally hold Doc, Face, and El Fuego in that cell any longer. She really has it in for Madam, and most detectives would have given up like a long time ago, but not Detective Davis. She's there for all the smoke. And what struck me as strange, did y'all remember seeing how she was looking at Doc's Shlong Dong Silver when he pulled it out and put it on the interrogation table? Did y'all see how she was looking down at it? Like she couldn't say anything. She was speechless. But I'm not even going to talk about that. If you're investigating someone, a crime boss such as Madam, why are you all up in the club, dressed up, drinking, watching them men do their thing? It ain't nothing about that investigation that would lead you to the VIP table ordering bottles with your girls. Usually, if this is the case, you'd be undercover, right? Incognito, camouflaged, anonymously. She was up in the club because that's where she wanted to be, period. But getting back to what I was talking about, all she had to do was bend over that table and let Doc hold her down for a minute, but she turned it down, so... But we all know that she really wanted to, right? She told Casanova that in order to make all the circumstantial stuff stick, that she needed a search warrant to go up in the club to do what she needed to do. And this is why I think that Detective Davis is full of She knew all of this before, right? Before her and the girls went up in there, like you already know what it is. You know the process and the procedures of making an arrest, but you slept on it. Now, in the trailer for season 3, we saw Madam pull out a stack of bills and slam them on the table right in front of her. And Madam ain't stupid, and she's far from being dumb. She knows when people want to be down. She knows that Detective Davis wants to be a part of that Eden gang, hence why she slammed that stack on the table. And what y'all think? Do y'all think Detective Davis wants in on the action taking place at Club Eden? I mean, look at Casanova. He done wiggled his hips and whined and grinded all the way up into being compromised. Now he has no way out. So she may need to consider other options. Blue survived the 2 bullets, guys, that concierge's brother sent her way. And this was a good thing. She was wearing a vest. She dusted herself off and went right back to work as usual. Blue was the superhero of this episode for sure. She wasn't limping. She wasn't in any kind of pain. She didn't even flinch. Blue took it like a real one. She rode up to the Eden like it was a regular, normal work day. Blue is that one that you need right by your side, ride or die. She's that one, right? I mean, if someone was after me for any reason at all, Blue would be my choice. Like, I'd choose to ride with her, right? But when that dust settled, of course she wanted to go and chop it up with Madam. But Tommy had to warn her not to even think about coming over because Madam had security tied up in there like the CIA. And what I really like about these 2 characters is that they have this love-hate camaraderie going on, and they know how to tuck in the insults and all the degrading remarks when they really need to. Tommy read the room. Well, he picked up on the context clues, and he knew that Blue really didn't want to hear all of his insults in that moment. Now, Fuego, poor Fuego, he was so clueless. Casanova was right. He was in that jail cell talking way too much. But he assured them that he didn't say not one thing about what was going on at the club, all the crime that seems to be taking place like every other minute. And Doc and Face were trying to get him to pick up what they were putting down, trying to get him to stop talking inside that cell so much, but he didn't have a clue. He wasn't catching on. And Doc didn't go in there to talk anyway. He went in there to help Fuego's lights go out permanently. And he couldn't believe it. Fuego could not believe that they were turning on him. He thought that they were all good. brothers, buddies, co-workers. But Doc had to let him know that his loyalty was with Madam and Madam only. So let's get back to our men of the hour, Midnight and Amp. They just couldn't seem to get out of that back door with the girl's dead body without everybody and their mama coming up into that dressing room. And I thought that the dressing room was supposed to be off limits, like to everyone, except for Doc, Face, Midnight, Fuego, and Amp. Harpo, who these people? Who these folks? Everybody was up in there. Trouble, Rayshawn, Dime. They really need to start enforcing that rule because that room is no longer sacred, right? But they couldn't get her out of that door. They kept being interrupted. Madam didn't want to deal with it, and Amp all high and he drunk, so Midnight had to take control of the situation, so he came up with putting her inside the dumpster. He knows that every morning at 5 a.m. that whatever goes in that dumpster, they'll never ever see it again. So this was his solution, but he didn't know that the club was hot, swarming with cops, and had a crime scene all on its own on the opposite side of the building. So when Blue got there, she made a few phone calls to get rid of that body. Now, there's one last and final thing that I really appreciated in this episode, and that's how Madam displayed some elements of normal human-like behavior. Like, when she got that call from Dime about what was going on with Amp, she told her, look, I'm tired, and I'm going to go ahead and go to sleep. Let Blue handle it. Normally, Madam would be up in that club with her heels on her feet, Newport in one hand, and a glass of red in the other. But in this episode, she actually took her medications, and she tucked herself into bed. Now, Madam was tired, y'all. When you're a female boss, dealing with crime on a daily like she does, then you'd have to lay it down too. Now, let's get into this review. What I liked about this episode, I liked the fact that Tommy showed some real human emotion and compassion for Blue just when she needed a little comfort and understanding. I like that part because it shows that this character is in tune and that he can do something else besides cuss people out and eat cookies all day. Now, what I didn't like about the episode is that there were no white boots, no diamonds on the vest, none of that. But the dialogue was still enough to carry us into the next episode, and the storyline was strong enough on its own, and that's enough for me. Now, if you have not watched this episode, go and head over to BET Plus and check it out. If you don't subscribe to BET Plus, I'm sure that you can find a trial or something, but whatever you do, go over there and watch the show. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. And if you're a fan of Christian Keys, All the Queen's Men, go ahead and sub to this channel for more videos just like this one. Thank you so much for tuning in today, you guys, and I'm going to see you on the next one.